What's going on, everybody, and welcome on into episode number 250 of the Garage Beers podcast, and I'm here alone. And that's how the show is going to start. I think Chad's having a little technical issue at the house, but he's getting himself rebooted and reset, and he'll be in. Joey, of course, is just in this wild time of the year where he is, I think he's out in Los Angeles, to be honest with you. So he's hanging out in LA. But we've got a great show planned for episode 250 and so much stuff to talk about. Obviously, we're going to get Chad on here in just a minute. And we're going to, a little bit later in the show, we'll dive into the Browns. We'll dive into the Super Bowl and maybe kind of the things we took away from the Super Bowl that we can apply back here in Cleveland. We'll talk about the Myles Garrett Super Bowl week media tour and all of that. We will talk about the upcoming Stadium Series game. We're less than a month away from the Stadium Series game at the Horseshoe at Ohio State, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Detroit Red Wings. We'll dive into that. And pitchers and catchers for the Guardians reported today. So we will definitely dive into that. The first thing we do once we get everybody in here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers. The NBA East Conference leading Cleveland Cavaliers made a big trade at the deadline last week, and coming on to talk about with us in just a little bit from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You may know him as Mikey McNuggets. It's Mike Lucas. He's going to join us to talk all things Cavaliers and what that trade for DeAndre Hunter means for the number one Cleveland Cavaliers. So we're going to get into all that and more. We're going to do it over some cold beers. So I don't know where else you would want to be on a Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. Welcome on in. Thank you for joining us. We are hosted here, as always, and proudly on the Orange and Brown Report streaming network. The OBR is the best place in Cleveland for all the most in-depth, crazy Cleveland Browns coverage that you can find. Right now, we've got like 5 nights worth of shows every week, plus some nights have multiple shows. Like tonight, we had 3 shows. Nobody's bringing you the content like the OBR when it comes to Cleveland Browns coverage, and then you get to come hang out with us on Tuesday nights for a little Browns. We'll do a little Browns. Don't worry. We'll talk a little bit Browns, but we'll dive into so much other stuff as well. So we appreciate you joining us. Make sure you get over to theobr.com and subscribe. And wherever you're watching us here tonight, if it's Twitch, if it's YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like, and do us a favor and jump over to our socials as well. Go to The Garage Beers on all the socials, and make sure you follow us over there for all the best content that we can bring you as far as covering our favorite team. So again, just me for now, Michael Keefe. I'm your host. Find me online at Garage Beers Mike. In a few minutes, we're going to get Mike Lucas in, Mikey McNuggets from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we're also going to get Chad in here as soon as I think his computer's still booting up. So I'm texting him right now, and we'll see when he jumps in here. But episode 250, we've been doing this since April of 2020, and I think we've missed 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe of this show, for various reasons, vacations and all that. And so we're going on 5 years of the Garage Beers podcast, and this is episode 250, and we're so excited. And we can't tell you how much we appreciate you for supporting us all the way throughout as we've gone on this journey. So listen, we're going to switch it up a little bit because, again, Chad's having a little technical difficulty. I don't know what the heck he's doing, but I see my special guest. Our special guest has jumped into the background. And so why just listen to me? Why would you want to sit and just listen to my dumbass talk when I could get our special guest in here and we could start talking about real, honest to goodness, fun Cleveland sporting events and Cleveland sports teams? We spend so much time talking about the bullshit Cleveland sports team that now we're going to talk a little bit about the fun Cleveland sports team. So I'm going to bring him in right now. You know him from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You know him from kind of several places around the Cleveland media scene. But the man has taken over in the Cavaliers world, in the basketball world, and you got to love that. So I'm going to bring him in right now. It's Mike Lucas, Mikey McNuggets from the Cleveland Sports Show. Mike, what's going on, man?
I did not realize this was episode 250. When he invited me today, I would have worn something a little nicer had I known this was a special occasion here, Mike.
It's a little disappointing, to be honest with you. A little disappointing. If you need to jump out and go put your tuxedo on, we'll give you a minute.
No worries. Hey, if the Cavs are going to win like this, it could be episode 250. It could be episode 500. It could be episode 5,000. People are going to tune in and listen to some Cavs talk because right now, the numbers bear it out on UCSS. I'm not sure how the OBR, I know you guys are mostly a Brown site, but we have had more Cavs traction through our show, through our clips in this short season than the first 2.5 years of UCSS combined, which as a basketball junkie like myself, it is music to my ears that people are now buying into the most fun team in the city.
And I think I had this revelation a couple months ago on the show where I said, all my time growing up in Cleveland and all the teams, and I support all the Cleveland teams. I'm a guy from Cleveland, and I've been through all the goods and the bads, and some have more bads than goods. But I've realized that, like, for the last 25 years of my life, I've been a Cavs guy, like, more than anything else. It's the most fun game to attend in the city.
100%.
Although the Guardians have done crazy work to catch up in that department.
It's just very different.
It is. Well, the sporting event itself is very different, but the games, both of those two are very fun to attend. But man, when you talk about the competitiveness, and I know a lot of it had to do with LeBron James, but it's been a quarter century of the Cavaliers being mostly competitive, minus a few years here or there, being mostly really good basketball teams. It's a hell of a run, unlike any run that I think any team in this city has gone on in a long, long time.
I'll defer to you on that as someone who's only been in Cleveland for 2.5 years. So I don't want to speak out of line, but I know the Browns have sucked for the majority of the last 3 decades since moving back, and the Cavs are the only champion in the city in 50, 60, whatever the number is, not to bring up bad memories. But this particular Cavs team is different than the LeBron era. And I wasn't here for the LeBron era. I don't want to tell. Winning is more fun than anything else. But the fact that this team is winning in the fashion which they're winning, with the style of basketball that they're playing, and the likability of almost everyone on the roster, it's come together as this almost perfect collection of the most easy team to root for I've ever been around. Not just in Cleveland. I've worked in Tennessee. I worked in Virginia. I've worked in Texas. I grew up in New Jersey. It is impossible not to like this Cavaliers team. And it almost pisses me off that they're so likable, because we do have to critique them. Like, they're not perfect. But I feel bad anytime I try to bring something up that may not be the most glowing review, because A, I like these guys on a personal level, and B, the critiques are such little nitpick things here and there so far, because they are 43-10. But also, we wouldn't be doing our job if we don't point out some of the things that are maybe not as good as they need to be able to win a championship. So it's been a lot of fun, man. And I'm lucky enough to be able to go in the locker room and have some discussions with these guys on a one-on-one level. And they're all good-ass dudes too, which makes it even more fun to know that these guys are having success, are worthy and deserving of that level of success.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And listen, I got a bunch of topics that I want to hit on with you, but some of it's going to just kind of focus around how we look at this team and how we're going to discuss the team moving forward, because, the way the season ended last year, they get that crazy hard-fought series victory over Orlando. That feels like it was a million years ago, by the way. But they had to scratch and claw and do everything to get past Orlando. And then they're beat up and they're broken. And you got a whole bunch of the players, the core players, not playing in the Boston series. And you saw some good stuff, but Boston just completely overpowers the Cavaliers in that series. And there was this element of, like, is this not going to be the setup? Is this not the roster construction? Can you win the way they are trying to win? And they go out and they get Kenny, and they go out and they sign their extensions, and they kind of run it back to start the year at least. And they show you that with the right system in place, these guys are the exact right guys to do it. So we are going to get into a little bit of how we're going to judge the ultimate success of this team. Oh, there goes Mike. I didn't kick him out. I promise. We are going to get into that, and he'll be right in. But we are. I didn't mean to piss you off, Mike.
No, that was me. I thought I hit the button. That's all me. 100% my bad.
All right, fine. I forgive you. We'll get into all that on how we're going to evaluate the team and all that. But listen, I'm already ahead of myself. I'm so excited to talk about the Cavaliers that I'm ahead of myself. Chad just sent me a message. He's almost in. I think he had to restart his computer 3 times. He's having a little technical issue, but he'll be in a minute. But we got to start every show with our Garage Beers of the Week. Mike, did you bring a beer? Did you bring a drink to hang out with us tonight?
I did. I busted out one. I had some people over the other day. And the best part of having people over as an adult now is they just leave your fridge with stuff that you didn't have before.
Yes.
And this is a Market Garden Old Zon Oktoberfest, which I have not had before. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Shout out Market Garden, local establishment. I have not tried it yet, so We're gonna try it here. But I'm not a big fan of Oktoberfest, so there's a chance this is not gonna go well. But we'll see.
I like it. You come on. You're expanding your horizons.
Yeah. Well, let's crack it open and try it.
We're trying things we don't like. Let's see. I'm excited to see. It's probably going to taste a lot like every other Oktoberfest you've ever had.
That's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah. That's not bad at all. I would drink this. Absolutely. Cheers to Market Garden.
Cheers to Market Garden. Cheers to local beers. Love that. Ty Sox is in the comment drinking a Sam Adams Cold Snap. That is a classic, a solid winter beer. Love that. Paramjot Sandhu is not a drinker, but having juice. Nothing wrong with that. We accept all kinds of drinks in the garage. Our buddy Greg, St. Pauli girl and Jameson, always got to have the drink in the shot. Greg does it every week. So shout out to Gregory, St. Pauli girl and the Jameson. Put your drinks in the comments. We'll keep flashing them up. I'm not going local. I've raided the fridge. It's been a minute since I've had my favorite brewery on the show, so I brought it back. This is from the Treehouse Brewery in Massachusetts. Okay. It is my very favorite brewery on the planet, and this is called the Perfect Storm, and it's a great beer. It's just like a hazy IPA.
Is it Boston, Massachusetts, or is it
So it's not. It's actually, I think the first one ever was in Munson, Massachusetts, which is in like the dead center of the state, just dead center of Massachusetts.
I went to school in Boston, so I ventured over to most of the breweries in Boston. Outside of Boston, I don't know Massachusetts from the back of my hand. So
yeah, so there's they moved to this humongous multi-million-dollar facility in Charlton, Massachusetts, which is also middle Sturbridge, Charlton, that area. But I think they have opened something near Boston. But yeah, Boston, Massachusetts, great brewery state.
Absolutely.
Trillium over by Boston. I don't know if you remember Trillium, but that is
very good brewery.
Very similar. Very similar. So yeah, that's what we're drinking. You guys keep flashing yours, but Mike, let's dive in a little deeper to this Cavaliers team, because the big news of the week, and we got to start with the big news of the week, is the number one team in the East, coming off of some pretty good play lately, but certainly after the beginning of the season, a little bit more ups and downs than what we saw out of the team to start the year. And they come off of that loss to Boston. And then we're looking at the trade deadline, and the Cavaliers, just before the trade deadline, ship off Karis LeVert, ship off George Niang, ship off some second-round picks, and they bring back DeAndre Hunter. And they bring back that wing player that so many people have been talking about as a need for this Cavaliers team. Mike, when you saw the trade go down, and I know you've talked about it already a little bit, but again, let's rehash that. When you saw the trade go down and you understand the player DeAndre Hunter is, and by the way, if you've watched the Cavs versus the Hawks at all this year, then you understand fully who DeAndre Hunter is, because he has eaten the Cavs alive all season. But initial thoughts, man. Were you as excited as most people were?
Yeah, so in the lead up, I had kind of circled Cam Johnson as this guy fits exactly what the Cavs want to do offensively, better than DeAndre Hunter does. However, the Cavs have a desperate need for a legit 3-and-D wing, and DeAndre Hunter fills that role. So I was on the Team Cam Johnson over Team DeAndre Hunter if the prices were equal. Well, it turns out the prices weren't equal.
No.
And the fact that Kobe Altman was able to get DeAndre Hunter from Atlanta without having to give up Jalen Tyson or the 2031 first-round pick and got under the luxury tax in the process is purely a stroke of genius and brilliance from Kobe Altman. And we can argue, and someone could argue, that those pick swaps in 28 and later, they could mean something more valuable than they look like on paper. And sure, but the reality is the Cavs got the best player in the deal. They kept their two best assets, and they dipped the tax. I thought it was a brilliant move from Kobe. And in my opinion, and Mike, I'm curious what you think of this. GMs are in a no-win situation 99 out of 100 times. Whatever they do, they're going to get criticized for it. There's no right move. There's no wrong move. They're always going to be criticized. As I've kind of maneuvered my way through the media realms and rankings, I've learned that if a GM's going to be aggressive and pushes chips in to try and win a championship, you're going to miss, but I'd rather you swing and miss than be complacent. And this move was the perfect example of Kobe Altman saying, okay, we have a need at the wing, particularly one with size. This guy's available. We can acquire him without breaking up the main construct of our team and giving up our first two best assets. And he's under contract for 2 more years, which aligns with the rest of the core. And the salary cap down the road gets confusing. I don't want to dive into all the numbers in 27, 28, that 3 years from now season.
aprons and second aprons and all.
There's a lot of implications, and this team may not be together for as long as we think because of the second apron. But that's a whole other topic for another day. But they have 3 Junes now to win a championship with this roster as currently constructed. This June, next June, and the June in 2026-27. If this core group, these 5, don't win a championship in those 3 years, then maybe you break it up and try to find a new way to win anyway. So the fact it all comes together under one umbrella like that, Mike, I had to give it up to Kobe. Like he really did pull off a heist in the middle of the night that I did not think was going to be possible based on the assets they had and the player available. So I was thrilled.
Well, and when you think about what they didn't give up, right? Like you knew a goal of the Cavaliers was to get rid of Caris LeVert this year, not because they didn't want Caris LeVert. It's not a personal thing, but contractually his contract's up at the end of the year. And contractually, he's pushing them over those aprons into that luxury tax. And so you knew going into this, I think there was a goal to even maybe go into this season having traded Caris LeVert, and that didn't come to fruition. And Caris was such a big part of the start of this season for the Cavaliers. I think people forget he was shooting like 50% beyond for like the first month and a half of the year. He was such a big start for them off the bench. And frankly, over the last couple of years, he was so good for them. In the role that he was asked to play. Georges Niang, people had their ups and downs. People got all up in their feelings about Georges Niang. I think this year specifically, he did exactly what you wanted him to do. Georges Niang was exactly the player they thought they were getting when they brought him in this year. But you gotta give something to get something.
Yeah.
And you got far and away the best player in the deal. You brought it up with Kobe. You duck the tax, which is just a stunning development in the situation. And to do it all, I think we're so used to here in Cleveland talking about our teams having control on players and how important that can be. To do it all with a guy that's right towards the beginning of his contract extension in Hunter. I kind of felt the same way, Mike. I felt the same way. You are setting yourself up for the next few years to go out and try to win a title with this group. And the way they have played this year against everybody, even in losses, it shows you this group is ready to go. The conversation between this year and next year isn't about can this core group of guys do it? The conversation is, okay, what do we need to put around these guys to make this a championship roster? But the fact that they didn't have to give up that first round pick in like 100 years when they have it again, the fact that they didn't have to give up Jalen Tyson or Isaac Okoro, or just know that it could have worked better. And so my only downside, Mike, is that I'm a Clevelander. And I have a paranoia that is built into me from a deep-seated and difficult to get rid of PTSD called Cleveland sports fandom, where I feel like every time we trade for somebody, they're going to turn into Larry Hughes. And I know that reference is before your time.
No, I'm familiar with the Larry Hughes-itis. The one thing with Hunter is health. He has not played many more games in the last 4 seasons than Dean Wade. And we all know the Dean Wade. So he's Dean Wade insurance, but he's also in the same ilk of Dean Wade. He's missed 15 games this year. Like, he's a guy that has not been as consistent as you would like for a guy you're paying starter caliber money. But the fact that he's going to come into Cleveland, not have to play 35 minutes a game, and he wasn't playing 35 in Atlanta, but look at how Kenny Atkinson is utilizing the minutes for everyone this season. You have to hope that, you get luck. Injuries, half of injuries are luck, Mike. We all know that. Dean Wade takes a random knee to the knee, and he's out 3 weeks, and they're being extra cautious. I'm sure if this was a playoff situation, Dean would be back. What Kenny said last night, why rush him? Like, let's make him 100% healthy. Let's wait till after the All-Star break. You got to get lucky, and you can't overtax these guys. And luckily, the Cavs are so deep this season, and they're beating teams by such exuberant margins. Like even last night's game against Minnesota, the game was over 2.5 minutes into the game. Right. We watched 45.5 minutes of pointless basketball last night. And as someone who's trying to get home to do other stuff, I'm like, where's the super sim? Like fast forward to the end, the game, it was over 4 minutes in. So none of the guys are playing big enough minutes where they're going to be taxed heading into the postseason. So it's a good situation for Hunter. You just have to hope he stays healthy. And if he is healthy, he gives them something they did not have before on offense and defense, and the ability to be as versatile and flexible with their rotations and their lineups as any team in the Eastern Conference not named Boston. They can go big if they want. They can go small if they want. they can go with a straight shooting lineup with Mobley at the 5, Wade and Hunter at the 3 and the 4 and the 2. If I'm Kenny Atkinson, it's like Kobe just gifted me the world's greatest Swiss Army knife that I now have to go either shank somebody, to go cut a twine, or do whatever you need to with that. That's what DeAndre Hunter is for this Cavs team now that he's in the fold.
Hey, step one of the DeAndre Hunter Cavaliers experience, his debut, significantly better than Andrew Bogut's was when he came here. So
Yes.
we're already past that. My PTSD is subsiding a little bit. Listen, we finally have in the background, and I want to bring him in because I'm sure he's got some stuff he wants to talk about, as I know he's diving more and more into this team. But my co-host, Chad Meyer, is in the background. His son is asleep. His computer has started. His lights are turned off, but that's fine. Nobody wants to see his face anyways. Chad, man, welcome in, man. Glad to have you.
I'm much prettier under muted light. Yeah. What's going on, fellas? Mikey, good to see you again. How's life going?
Glad you could join us, man.
Oh yeah, man. That son's bed is just so damn comfy some days, and I just fall asleep when I'm putting him to bed, and that's what happened tonight. But I'm here. I'm awake. It was more like a power nap, so I could do the podcast. That's what I'm gonna go with. It was.
Hey, Chad, why don't you power wake up into a beer? What are you drinking?
Oh, I found a Collision Band-Aid Crazy Nights in the fridge.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, just grab that. Just grab that guy out of there. It's a delicious beverage. Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to go, boys. Yeah, all right. Param Jot Santu.
So, Mike, we got a question in the comments, but this was one of the things I was going to bring up. Obviously, the trade messes with rotations, not messes with in a bad way, messes with in a good way. You've obviously got your starting lineup. I'm not sure why this is like a discussion point. I know that over the past few years with Atlanta, DeAndre Hunter found more success coming off the bench than he did as a starter. But that's a different situation, a different coaching staff, and frankly, a much different offensive philosophy with Trae Young and company down there than you've got here in Cleveland. I don't think, in my mind, this is not going to be some big discussion. People were acting yesterday like, oh, he's going to start because Max Strus is out for the game. I don't think that's a thing. I think you've got your starting lineup. I think it's Garland and it's Mitchell and it's Hunter and it's Mobley and it's Allen, and there's no reason to even think twice about that. And I know you get – oh, go on.
Can I call a timeout on that real quick?
Do you need a 20 or a full?
I'll make this quick. Give me a 30. We'll call it in the middle.
All right.
I'm fine if Hunter starts. I think more important than the starting 5 is the closing 5, and Hunter is 100% in the Cavs' best closing 5 lineup. Because of how talented Hunter is offensively, I would not have an issue. I'm not going to make a big – I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. But if Dean Wade's healthy and they want to start Dean Wade at the 3, because in the starting 5 with the core 4, at best, DeAndre Hunter's your 4th offensive option, maybe your 5th, depending on the situation, the matchup. I'm fine with him being your 6th man and coming in and getting more of a focal point in the offense than being relegated to the corner on a lot of different actions for Darius and Donovan. But the starting 5 doesn't really matter. The closing 5 is what matters. And in their best closing 5 lineups, they didn't trade for DeAndre Hunter not to be part of that. So I have no issue if Dean Wade starts and he becomes in, D Hunter comes in as the 6th man, but it's splitting hairs because when they close the game, DeAndre Hunter better be part of that closing 5.
Do they have, I don't want to say they're similar players, but I mean, do they have, in a sense, their own Mobley? And this goes to show you how uneducated I am about the NBA. But do they, in a sense, kind of have two very capable wings, like they have 2 very capable bigs now? Like, are they interchangeable at that wing spot, or would you rather have Hunter or Wade starting?
Hunter's better than Wade. He could do a lot more offensively. But like I said, when they're with the core 4 in the starting lineup, the offense is Donovan 1st, Darius 2nd, Evan 3rd. And at some point, there's only so many plays you could run with a certain group without having someone just kind of be relegated to the corner. And if he is going to be the 4th option, he's probably the 2nd best 4th option in basketball. Like, you could argue him versus Derek White maybe as the best offensive 4th options in basketball. Maybe he is better than Derek White, or I'm forgetting some random team in the West that has 4 really good offensive players, but he could score 20 points a game. He's the leading scorer off the bench this season for a reason. And he likes to get the ball, take his time, go one-on-one. He's just not going to get many opportunities to do that with the core 4 in the starting lineup, which is why I don't mind him coming off the bench and having a little more focal, little more say in the offensive creation. But like I said, it's splitting hairs. When the game ends and the game's on the line, it's the core four and DeAndre Hunter.
All right, I want my 30 now.
There you go.
Because I don't disagree at all. The closing five is the most important group that's going to be on the floor. And the cool thing is that can fluctuate depending on who's playing and how they're playing and all that. But I was perusing the OBR. I'm going to give a shout out to the OBR.com. I was perusing the water cooler on the OBR.com, just some of the message boards on there. And there's a Cavs topic. It is really great, actually. Some of the people on there are really awesome. And they really dive deep into the Cavaliers. And I have a little bit of a fundamental. I do think you start your best players. And I think people act like the starting thing. I don't like when people say it doesn't matter who starts. I don't agree with that. I think if you can send your top five guys out there and they can get you out to a 15-point lead early in the ball game, it makes your life easier. And so, yes, the closing group I think is more important because who's going to close out close games? Those are the guys you want out there at that time. But I don't agree with that the starters don't matter. I know minutes distribution isn't the conversation for me. Everybody's going to get their minutes. But I think you put your five. To me, it just sounds like you wouldn't have said, well, the Celtics have Paul Pierce and Rajon Rondo and Kevin Garnett. Well, let's put Ray Allen on the bench. That's not really how you build it. I think you do. I think the starters are important. It sets the tone for a basketball game. You don't want your team climbing out anything, and you trust these guys that they're not going to do that. But in my opinion, you make your top five guys your starting five, and then you pull guys. Maybe Hunter's your first guy off the floor. Or frankly, maybe Mitchell's your first guy off the floor.
It's been Mitchell Mobley shift typically.
What's that?
I said it's typically Mitchell and Mobley. They're the first guys out, and then Jerome and Niang was coming in. So we'll see how it kind of adjusts with guys in and out now.
And I love Dean Wade. I want him to get early minutes. I think what he brings to this team is I love that he's just always vastly underrated. It makes me feel like they're going to be able to sign him to contracts forever, and that's great. But when I look at the bench, when I look at in my head the bench unit, and in my head the bench unit is Ty Jerome, and the bench unit is Sam Merrill and Max Strus and Dean Wade. Who am I forgetting?
Okoro, if he's healthy.
Yeah, like
Jalen Tyson
getting minutes and looking pretty good, actually. That his offensive rebounding is outrageous. Man, this team goes. You lose Karis LeVert and you lose George Niang, and the team doesn't feel less deep.
No, the depth is their strong suit. I mean, part of the reason they were able to trade Karis LeVert is Ty Jerome has been arguably the most valuable non-rookie contract in basketball this season. I mean, he's scoring 12 points a game, giving you 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 50, 45 from the floor. This is the guy's making $2.5 million. He's barely over the league minimum.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, before the season started, the Cavs were just over $2 million over the luxury tax. We talked about it earlier before you hopped on, Chad, how they ducked the tax with the Hunter trade too. I don't have this confirmed by multiple people, but I'm telling you, I feel pretty confident in saying this. The plan was to just dump Ty Jerome with the deadline, get under the tax, and continue with this roster. And he's played so far beyond what they ever could have expected that it completely changed the trajectory of what they wanted to do. And in a good way, because you end up with DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome, which is a better outcome than just losing Ty Jerome and not having DeAndre Hunter and still LeVert and Niang. But that was their plan. Hey, if we got to get under by $2 million, Ty, thank you, but you're the seventh guard. Like, he's been so freaking good, guys, that they had to change the complete trajectory, consider staying in the tax, and then it ends up with DeAndre Hunter, which is the best case scenario. But that's how good they've been. That's how deep they are. That Karis LeVert, who was in the conversation for Sixth Man of the Year, was just a kind of a luxury guy to have. And they said, we can upgrade our most biggest glaring need by getting rid of a guy who we already can replace without having to go get anyway. Listen, I made up a stat this year. It's called League Pass Moments. I can't track it for anyone else but the Cavs. But a League Pass moment is you get the text that says, we can curse, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
You get the text that says, holy shit, insert player X game. And you know you got to turn the game on right there. By my unofficial counting, the McNuggets official stat book, leads the Cavs with 4 League Pass moments this year.
Shit.
The Golden State game, the New Orleans game, the Philly game, and the other game and the Atlanta game where he hit the 24 points in the third quarter, the second, whatever it was in the city light blue uniforms.
Yes.
No other Cavs player is more than 3. Ty Jerome, 4 league pass moments this year. He should be an all-star because I don't know if anyone else has more than 4, but yeah, that's how incredible he's been this year. And it's changed the complete trajectory of what the Cavs wanted to do with their roster.
Have you proposed this to the NBA? I mean, this should become a thing.
I told Ty in the locker room about it, and he laughed. I haven't told Kobe or Kenny yet, but maybe that'll be my all-star break stat proposal for the NBA to add to their official record books.
I think we're talking to the wrong people. I think we need to be talking to the social media people for the Cavs.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know them. That's the issue. I only know the people I can talk to.
What do you mean we don't know them?
As crazy as it sounds, I have no idea who runs the Cavs social media. I have absolutely no idea.
We won't go there. We won't go there.
Do you know? Don't tell me, but do you know?
No comment.
I'll text you offline. Now you piqued my interest here, guys.
No comment. No, it's not going to be something you're going to find awfully interesting. But anyways, no, and this was another big part of the conversation. And this was one of my notes I had written down. And it's all about Ty Jerome, right? We know the Cavaliers have spent the time and the money to lock up these other players, Jarrett and Evan and man, Donovan Mitchell. The trajectory of the organization changed so much of this offseason when he said yes to that extension. And Garland's locked up, and now you've got Hunter locked up for a few years, and you talked about it. And the question, and there's been some really good podcasts and really good stories written up on this, and I don't know if you've seen them, Mikey, but there's a big concern amongst Cavs fans right now because we all see the importance of Ty Jerome. Because not only is Ty Jerome out there making those kind of plays, those highlight plays, he did it in the game last night. That third quarter moment was the most outrageous. That was one of the, when you involuntarily stand up off the couch, when you don't even know you're doing it, and then all of a sudden something happens. It could be baseball or football or basketball, but all of a sudden you're on your feet and you're like, why am I even standing right now? Because something so cool happened. That steal and 3-pointer at the end of the third quarter. He's also he is like the heartbeat of the team, isn't he? Like his swagger, it defines the Cavaliers.
He's been a revelation, is the only way to put it.
Yeah. So the concern is, how do they keep this guy? This guy's going to warrant a contract. How do they keep him? And I think people are forgetting that there's a bird rights situation with Ty Jerome. And that means, it's going to mean luxury tax implications for sure. But I just to calm everybody down, if Ty Jerome is this valuable to the Cavaliers and they want to keep him around, they absolutely have every ability to do that.
I would recommend, and I hate to shout out another person's podcast
for this reason, you're allowed to.
Bob Schmidt of Fear the Fro did a terrific video on the entire Ty Jerome contract expectations, previous comparisons, what it does to the Cavs salary cap. He sent it to me this morning. I believe it's out on his YouTube page now, but Fear the Fro Pod, Bob Schmidt did a terrific video on it. Would highly recommend to anyone. As we mentioned earlier, Mike, with the Hunter trade, Hunter's under contract through the 26-27 season. The 27-28 season is the pivot year for the Cavs.
Yeah.
They have a chance to bring everyone back, but the next 2 years after this, they are most likely going to be second apron luxury tax teams.
Yes.
I don't want to get into all the issues, but just know if you are a second apron luxury tax team, 3 out of 5 years, it makes life miserable. So they're going to be a second apron team next year. They most likely will be a second apron team in 26-27. That means 27-28. There's a lot of contracts coming off the books. Hunter, Okoro, Donovan Mitchell will be a player option at that point. I could already break the news now. He will decline his player option and look for a new contract. That's breaking news on the OBR Garage Beers right now. So they are in a complete situation.
Put it on the ticker, Mike.
What do you say?
I said put it on the ticker, Keith.
Yeah, I could guarantee you that's going to happen right now. Here's my fear with Ty Jerome. If he's willing to sign a 2-year deal, I don't care what the number is. If I'm the Cavs, I'm signing him. But I can't have him on the books in that 27-28 season, because then it changes and mixes up and makes it so much more complicated to re-sign Donovan at the $65 million. He'll be due for a max extension at that point, whatever Jared Allen's going on. If he wants more than 2 years, if I'm Kobe Altman, as good as Ty Jerome is, I have a really hard time giving him that 3rd year. I love that. The ticker. If it's 2 years, I'm matching anything. That's how I look at it right now. I can't give him that 3rd year, though. I can't.
No, 100%. It's part of the. I'll tell you what. When you look ahead and you look at what's going to have to happen with contracts with this team, and it's Ty Jerome and it's Hunter and it's everybody. It's everybody. I'm not sure Kobe Altman could have done more to build trust. I'm not sure there's a less talked about general manager in this city, right? Everybody wants to talk about Andrew Berry. I'm Andrew Berry'd out, and I like Andrew Berry, but I'm Andrew Berry'd out. And everybody wants to talk about what the Guardians, front office does because they're given nothing and they build something all the time. But man, Kobe Altman came from a spot where a couple of years ago, people were calling for him they were like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's young. He's green. He has no idea what's going on. Is there anybody that has changed his perception more than Kobe Altman over the last couple of years?
Listen, I'll be the first to admit, hand up, my bad. I was like, what the heck are you doing running it back with the exact same roster? Like, that's the definition of insanity. And I will admit wholeheartedly that at least through 53 games, I cannot have been proven more wrong. Now, it has to work in the playoffs. And I still do have a little bit of concern that the two bigs in particular may run into some issues in the playoffs, but we have 30 games to go. And I trust Kenny Atkinson and his staff to get the most out of them. Is the most enough to beat the likes of a Boston in a playoff series? We'll find out. I have no reason to believe it can't. I also have some evidence from last season that it didn't work as well, but Jared Allen wasn't in that series, so give or take. But he's done everything right. And he put his balls on the table when he ran it back and said, I don't care what anyone says. This is the reality of what I believe in. I assembled this team. I think it works. I just need the right coach to make it work. Bye-bye, JB. Hello, Kenny. And look where we're at now. The best record in the East. I think they're half a game back of OKC for the best record in the NBA.
I mean, they're one of they're easily, they're going to finish this year without question as a top 3 or 4 team in the entire NBA.
Yeah.
And right now with the lead they have built in the East, they're probably going to be number 1 in the East. I mean,
and look what he's done over the last couple of years. Going back to the Jared Allen trade where he Fugazi Jared Allen as part of a 3-team deal. He trades for Karis LeVert. Then he brings Ricky Rubio back anyway. Then he trades for Lauri Markkanen, who, by the way, you had to get rid of him for Donovan, but the ability to assess that talent before he became Lauri Markkanen, he deserves credit for. And then obviously you have to get rid of him for Donovan. He signs Evan to the extension. He signs Jarrett to the extension. Jarrett's extension is one of the best contracts in basketball. Evan is a chance to be an all-NBA guy this season. That's how well he's playing. He's got Darius on the biggest contract in Cavs history. Like, he drafted Jalen Tyson. He drafted Dean Wade. He's found Sam Merrill off the scrap heap. Really, if we look at it, like, where are the misses? Where are the Kobe Altman misses after the Kyrie Irving trade, which that's way long ago in the past. It doesn't impact his team.
Well, he was here, but that wasn't him.
Yeah, I thought that was his first deal, I believe.
No, that was David Griffin still.
I thought I could listen. I was not here, so I'm going off memory.
I
thought Jason Lloyd, his first beef with Kobe was over the Kyrie Irving argument.
Maybe you know what? Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I use my Cavs timeline off Jason Lloyd beefs, and I love Jason. So,
but if we're talking about a miss, we're talking about the Kyrie Irving deal.
That's what I'm saying. Find me another gigantic miss, like even a Okoro, who is a good player. He's not a home run with the 5th pick, but he's not a miss. Like find me the misses.
There are none. They don't exist.
He's done a damn good job.
Yeah.
And he does not get the credit he deserves.
So let's talk about more potential Kobe Altman stuff, because I do think a lot of people in Cleveland right now are watching who's available. What kind of names are available? Not a ton of names came out in the buyout market.
No.
And there's been some names here or there that have been awfully disappointing to see. I know Ben Simmons was rumored. I was all about it because Ben Simmons as like a guy on the bench with those kind of expectations, much different than Ben Simmons, the top draft pick that you're relying on to be a franchise player. I think Ben Simmons off the bench would have been great. I think he would have been just perfectly fine. I think people in Cleveland would have liked him. But I do also think when you're talking, we talked about the bigs, and we're talking about Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And then what? And then what is I mean, you got Dean Wade can play power forward, but he's not that big of a guy. Are we playing Tristan Thompson minutes in the playoffs?
I hope not.
I mean,
I hope not. DeAndre Hunter could play a little bit of the 5 if it's not a post-up traditional, like 250-pound big. He does have a 7'3" wingspan. I like Daniel Tice, and as soon as I tweeted out I like Daniel Tice, he signed in Greece. So bye-bye, he's off the board. I love Ben Simmons too. Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition. Mo Bamba might be the best big man out there, and Mo Bamba is a much better song than it is a basketball player.
I was going to say Tristan's fine. Tristan's fine.
Yeah, the options are. I feel like they need to bring in somebody, regardless, just purely as a body in case one of the guys gets hurt. But I'd be lying to tell you guys I have any confidence whatsoever in any of the buyout options being a reliable guy you can count on, even for just a short stretch in a playoff series. I have no faith.
The Alex Len thing had me going a minute, and then he's gone. Alex Len would have been fine off the bench.
Well, he's gone.
And, yeah, I just don't. Man, it was a little disappointing. The Hunter thing's super exciting, but I was like, okay, just find yourself a big man in that buyout market, and let's roll into the playoffs. And now it's going to be a test. This is going to be a test for Kenny Atkinson. This is going to be a test for when you get to the playoffs and you have to manage playoff rotations. And again, the Cavs are going to be able to run a deeper playoff rotation than most teams can run. But you're going to have to manage essentially Dean Wade and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. You're going to have to manage a rotation of kind of those 3 guys.
And hope they're healthy.
Throughout the course of a playoffs. One guy goes into foul trouble. It's going to be a really tough situation.
Chad, were you saying something?
I said you guys don't like Larry Nance Jr. as like a power forward center guy?
I mean, he's not bought out.
I don't know. I just looked up guys on the NBA buyout list, and his name popped up. I don't know.
If he's been bought out, I would take him in a heartbeat, but I haven't seen I don't believe he's currently actually available.
No, and he just got hurt. They had to carry him off. The Hawks. It was just, I think, maybe yesterday.
2 days ago. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. They had to carry him off the court, which that sucks. Did you mute yourself, Chad? You muted yourself.
Oh yeah. I said, guys, I'll go fuck myself then. I'll just
yeah. Here. I'm glad you unmuted for that. I'm glad you unmuted.
I'll be right back.
So, for all intents and purposes, Mike, like this is going to be the roster going in, and that's the biggest hole for sure. Is who comes through when you need big man minutes and you get guys in foul trouble and all that. But now that we're at this point where we're more than halfway through the season, Mike, and now that we're going into the All-Star break, Cavaliers the only team in the NBA with as many All-Stars as they have, although I don't know if that changed with anybody that got named after injuries or whatever. But where's the bar changed for you? We're seeing how this team has played and not just how they got off to a crazy start, but then how they've really sustained the ability to be just an elite basketball team in the NBA. Where is the bar set for you? Because I was listening to Kevin Garnett on his show talking about, the Cavs they've added their name to the list of the contenders with the Hunter deal and all that. And I think it was Matt Barnes was on with him, and he said, yeah, but until they do it, it's hard to have faith. It's until they beat Boston, until they win that title, it's hard to have faith. So how is the bar changed for you, Mike, based on what you've seen from the Cavs?
I thought before the Hunter trade, they were in the conversation, but not in the club. Like they were in the championship club, but not necessarily in the VIP section with the Boston, the OKC, and even Denver. And I'm probably higher on Denver than most, but just because of the championship pedigree and the fact that Jokic is still the best player in basketball, I thought they belonged there. After the Hunter trade, I think they're in the VIP section. I think they're officially at championship bottle service alongside Boston, alongside OKC. Denver's in that conversation, and I think it might just be those 4. It might just be those 4, and if you want to add a team, fine. Like if New York gets red hot, maybe if Giannis and Dame could go on a heater and Kuzma somehow channels 2020 bubble Kuzma, then maybe Milwaukee steps into there. But they have the scoring. At any point during a 48-minute game, the Cavs have an elite ball handler on the court who's also an elite playmaker, a legitimate lob threat, and a shooter in the corner. And if you can do that for 48 minutes in stretches and rotations, you have a chance to win every game because most teams can't match that. The Cavs are deep. They're well coached. They're better defensively than the numbers show at this point. I feel like because they've been so good offensively, they've kind of taken their foot off the gas defensively in fourth quarters, which has allowed some higher scoring outputs. I do think they can turn it up defensively when needed, and Hunter will certainly help with that. And now they have the ability to mix and match lineups, to go big against Boston, to go smaller if the team has two bigs that can't run with Mobley and Allen. I think they're in the VIP section in that top tier. And to anyone who says they haven't proven it yet, that's fair. And I don't necessarily disagree with Matt Barnes, but, Michael Jordan didn't have a championship before he won his first one, right? Like LeBron didn't have his championship before he won his first one. Jokic
start somewhere.
Lost in the playoffs 4 straight years before he won a championship 2 years ago. So, you could say that for every team. And if that was the case, then no one ever would win a championship again. It would just be the Boston Celtics and the Boston Celtics and the Nuggets and the Celtics and the Nuggets. I think that's a way too simplistic of a way, even though it does have some validity. Like, I do agree you need your playoff lumps, but the Cavs have been a playoff team 2 years in a row. It's not like these guys have never been in the playoffs before. They know how to win a series. They beat Orlando in 7. So I think they're in that top tier of the conversation. You can argue 1, 2, 3, or 4. I probably have them at 3 right now, but it's a damn good place to be with 30 games to go.
All right, Mike, we're going to let you get out of here, but I've got 2 little quick hitters for you before we let you go. One, we do a segment on the show every week called Asshole of the Week, where we just call somebody out for being an asshole. Should Nico Harrison just be the asshole of the week forever? The general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, should he just be the consistent asshole of the week?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him.
Oh, what? Mike, they're kicking dudes out of Mavericks games.
I know, and that's the softest move of all time. That is by far
that is James Dolan, New York Knicks bullshit.
Yes, and the letter that the president or Dumont, I'm not sure if he's the owner, but wrote and was like, we want guys like Shaq, and we all know like people are dedicated like Shaq, and with all due respect to Shaq, who's an all-time great, he was famous for saying, I'm not working out on vacation. I'll work myself into shape during the season. So they've handled this thing so poorly. Listen, when I was on last time, I made O.J. Simpson my asshole of the week because I was just watching the O.J. documentary. So to me, he's still the asshole of the week. So I don't know if Nico Harrison supplants that, but
no, he doesn't supplant O.J. Simpson.
I feel very bad for Mavs fans. Let's put it that way.
Hey there, Twitter world.
Oh man, it's yours truly.
You dead O.J.
Truly, I'm dead now. But
it's dead O.J. Mahomes.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't be an OBR show if we didn't ask you this. How much fun are you having talking about Myles Garrett over there on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show? You have the most fun time of all time.
Oh my God! Between him and are they going to draft a quarterback? And is Deshaun officially done? It's the never-ending cycle of what the fuck is going on. Like, the beauty is every day there's a new rumor that comes out that we can spin to have the same conversation, but start it with a different. Well, this guy said this, and it leads us back to the exact same conversation. And listen, I don't know how you don't trade him, but I also know from reading Over the Cap, because I'm not a football Sadler guy whatsoever, it's going to be hard as shit to trade him. And if you trade him, I saw they had to cut 3 players to trade him just so they had enough money to sign the bare minimum guys to have a 53-man roster. Good luck. Like,
better find your Ty Jerome in there, Browns.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, hey, real quick, when the Thunder were here, Lou Dort, he looks like he could play outside linebacker tomorrow for the Browns. And if they lose in the finals or if OKC gets knocked out early, my first call is going on. He's got $100 million in the bank already. He signed that 100. Lou Dort on a 1-year minimum contract to play outside linebacker. Yeah. You got to get creative. Like
sure.
He has enough money that he may be willing to take a deal like that just to try. But that was the biggest human I've ever seen who could also play basketball at a high level. It does not look normal.
Especially if mystery injury JOK just doesn't come back. Lou Dort's got to just step in.
The Dortcher, he's got a great nickname, the Dortcher Chamber. Like,
it's amazing.
Yeah. I
I
don't know. You guys are more the football. What are they supposed to do?
That sounds like a finishing move in WWE, the Dortcher Chamber.
Dortcher Chamber.
They're going to extend him, Mikey. They're going to.
I feel like that's the eventual outcome. They're going to pay him a boatload of money and make him the highest paid non-quarterback in football.
We're in the midst of the they can. I love when people are like they can't come back from this. Oh, you can't come back from this. I'm like, somebody comes back from this every fucking year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's going to be, I never wanted to leave the Browns. I never wanted to blah, blah, blah. Like, it worked out.
Yeah, I was just sending a message. So, yeah. Hey, listen, Mikey McNuggets, Mike Lucas, man, so fun to have you on. I'm glad we were able to connect. I'm sorry I've harassed you on Twitter in the DM, but it's always good catching up. It's always good hanging out. And it's great talking Cavaliers with you again. You've become a great voice in the world of the Cavaliers socials and Cavaliers reporting and all that. So appreciate all the good work that you do. Appreciate what you do over there on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Say hi to all the guys over there for us, and let's do it again soon sometime. Let's do a playoff edition.
Yeah. Anytime y'all want, this is a blast. And drinking beers at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday is always fun. So
drinking beers at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday is fun.
It's never a bad time for a beer. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Right, you know, Mikey McNuggets, Mike Lucas, what a good dude, man. One of my favorites. We've had a lot of guys on from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and this guy's one of my absolute favorites. He's a good dude, and he knows a shit ton about the Cavaliers. And here it is right here. Chef Brian K says it. When you want to talk Cavs or cave, but I'm going to guess that means Cavs. When you want to talk spelunking, you call Mike Lucas.
Yeah, when you want to talk geocaching, you call Mike Lucas.
Mike Lucas is your dude.
Yeah.
He's the dude. All right. So let's pull it off the Cavs. And I want to talk a little bit about football. I do want to talk a little bit about hockey, Chad, because we are so close to the Stadium Series. Plus, we got
Four Nations
tournament happening right now.
Four Nations.
I've got the Kronos on
Tomorrow.
There's a little bit to talk about. I want to talk about the Guardians a little bit. So I want to hit on a few things before we wrap up at 10:30. But, you know, we obviously can't jump on. I hinted at it there real quick. But it's Asshole of the Week. And so, Chad, who do you have listed as your Asshole of the Week?
I wish I would have wrote it down because I had a really good one from last week that I didn't bring up. And hopefully I think of it. And if I do, I'll probably interrupt you
That's okay.
the rest of the show. But my asshole of the week is the people who just like hated the halftime show because they couldn't understand it. But yet these are the same guys who like listen to like Cannibal Corpse and like, and I don't know, like Pearl Jam. And, who were just strictly hating on it because it either A, they just don't like the music, B,
we know why.
It goes deeper than that, but I don't even want to bring it up, or C, it just doesn't fit their political narrative that they do it. Like just enjoy it. People enjoyed it, people didn't. You either liked it or you didn't. You don't have to make it a whole thing, okay? You either liked it or you didn't. That's all you need to do. Okay.
It's a thing every year, Chad.
Huh?
It is my biggest. It is literally one of my biggest pet peeves. Why is it a thing every year? It's like this competition to prove how much you don't like the Super Bowl halftime show. It's the same group of people every year, and it doesn't matter whether it's The Who or whether it's Prince, or whether it's The Weeknd, or whether it's Katy Perry, or whether it's Beyonce, or whether it's Kendrick Lamar. It's the same group of people every year that just go rushing to their. I hate this. The halftime show. What do you want?
Worst halftime show ever.
They just had the guy that won all of the Grammys. The guy that won every Grammy was the halftime show performance, even if you don't like him. What are we doing here?
They should just do a halftime show where everybody can enjoy. Guess what? Not everybody's going to enjoy that one either.
You're wild.
You either like it or you don't. It's either not your cup of tea or it is, right? It's just your preferred musical genre. It's not a whole thing.
It's weird.
Like stop making it into something that it's not, for God's sake.
Yeah.
That being said, I did enjoy the level of pettiness and the whole Drake lawsuit thing. That was amazing.
Well,
anyway,
let me step in because my asshole of the week, and for one of the very first, Gregory says it. I love it. Gregory says it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Go get yourself popcorn.
Oh my God. Weird, right?
Out.
Oh, change the channel. That's what everybody fucking says.
Gregory's asshole of the week is fake people with that shitty smile. I think we all know what he's talking about there. When they give you that like that fake smile, that fake shitty smile. Gregory. I like that. I'm playing off of yours. For one of the very few times, I'm gonna name an asshole of the week but I mean it in a good way. I mean, I appreciate the assholeness of it. Mine coming in, I have it written down here, with Kendrick Lamar. I loved that halftime show. And I loved the asshole nature of it, but I also know the background. I understand if you don't know the background, maybe you are a little confused as to what that all was. But I'm a child of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, right? I was born in the mid 80s. Kendrick Lamar to me is the closest thing we have right now to like an old school hip hop rapper. Like he has that old school flair to him that these other guys, it's a little soft right now for my liking. It's a little soft.
Yeah.
And
He's
Kendrick
the only guy, right? Yeah. No, I totally agree. He's the only guy right now with like actually something to say.
There's a little substance to Kendrick that I like, and I like his sound. And I'm telling you, man, you might not have liked that halftime show. You might not have liked it, but it is the most watched halftime show in history. And I'm not talking about just live. I'm talking about like the streams that it's getting afterwards. It is the most streamed, most rewatched halftime show of all time. Because if you don't know the story, I'm not going to go into it, but this is a decade-long beef between him and Drake. And I've never been a Drake guy. His whiny ass voice. I do not like Drake.
I could never take any of those child stars like into their, oh, I'm not a child star anymore phase. So I gotta be all like controversial, and I gotta be all cutting edge, like Sabrina Carpenter flaunting her ass like all over the place. Like it's all fake to me.
Whoa. Let's not take shots.
Well, I am taking shots
It's
because
okay.
it's not, I am taking shots at that because it's not authentic to me. It's there's no authenticity to that. To
Pick
me.
somebody else.
Huh?
No, I'm just kidding.
Pick some. Okay, Drake. Fine, Drake. It's not authentic at all to me.
And look, I love Zook. Look, see, this is why we love people. Zook. Oh, sorry, I put up the wrong one. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I think it was just a me problem. Shout out to you, Zook. That's called self-awareness, buddy.
You know what?
Self-awareness.
You could. You know what? If you did watch it, and you could understand it. Put on closed captioning. You'll understand it.
Here's the thing. Here's to make a very long story short. Kendrick and Drake and J. Cole came into it together. Actually, J. Cole was probably like the first. And then, like, after they were in the game for a little bit, they started doing like little fun diss tracks to each other, and Drake always got his goddamn feelings hurt. And J. Cole like would be like, cool, you can do this. And Kendrick was like, cool, you can do a little diss track. I mean, it was like a marketing thing. And Drake always got his feelings hurt. So then finally Drake tried to get into the game, and he made a damn song about Kendrick's family. And it just pushed it over the line. That's if you want to know where this is all coming from. He made a song about like his family, his everybody. Like it was awful. And so my favorite part of this story is a couple of years back, Drake tried to release a diss track on Kendrick, and the people that worked on it with Drake told Kendrick about it. So Drake released his diss track, and then Kendrick released one 16 minutes later with the same beat and an exact response to the song. Nice. And he was like, and it was all about your people don't even like you. Oh, it was so good. And then him coming out and playing it, I thought the whole halftime show was good, but man, when he came out, when he did the Say Drake and he did the little smile, it was one of the coolest moments. It was cool. So anyways, he's my asshole of the week, but I mean it as a compliment. I mean, give you the goosey bumpies. Goosey bumpies. Oh, I did like this. I want to go back to one real quick. Asshole of the week. Hold on. No, we're not doing that one. Oh, where is it? Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Wow. It's not letting me click it. Here it is. It was Paramjot Send who says, my asshole of the week, or my asshole of the year, is Jimmy Haslam for being the Browns owner. Sign that one up forever. All right. Speaking of the Browns, let's go into football here for a little bit, Chad. Great. And let's start by not talking about the Browns for a minute, and then we'll get into the Browns. But football is officially over for the 2024-2025 season, college pros, all that. The Super Bowl happened
at least for a month. We got at least for a month. Month
right.
break.
The Super Bowl happened, and the Philadelphia Eagles just they ragdolled the Kansas City Chiefs all over the field.
They big time shit pumped them.
I mean, it was impressive to the level of, it's the only thing I cared about in the Super Bowl, to be honest. I kept waiting for the Super Bowl to give me something to want to cheer for, and it really never did that.
Yeah.
Until it was, Philly didn't get lucky to beat the Chiefs.
No. Nope.
Philly didn't. There's nothing you can like disparage Philly about in the Super Bowl.
Nope.
They came out from the very first minute of the Super Bowl, and they absolutely dominated the Chiefs, and everybody for Philly played well. Like, that was, when you talk about when the lights shine the brightest, are you going to show up? Philly couldn't have showed up more than what they did in that game against the Chiefs. A dominant performance, and the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champs once again.
They did exactly what Tampa did, right? I mean, the key with Mahomes is they got pressure with 4. They got pressure with 4, and they did not let Mahomes run around in chaos outside of structure, which is where he thrives in. And they did not let him get comfortable at all. And that was the biggest key to the game. I mean, ever since it almost felt like that Cooper DeJean pick 6 felt like the end of the game right there to me. All right. It was indicative of how the rest of that game went. Mahomes, it was never, he just never settled in. That offense never settled into a rhythm of the game. You know, the Chiefs defense that like actually didn't play too bad, right? They for all intents and purposes, they contained Saquon, which was going to be a huge part of this, the offensive game plan for Philly.
I think at the start, they didn't play bad. I think they got worse as the game went on.
Did they? I think it was a matter of Jalen just dropping dimes. I mean, it was good coverage on that Devontae Smith touchdown. It was good coverage on that. It was pretty good coverage on that Dotson touchdown. I think it was a matter of just Jalen Hurts being sensational. I thought they didn't play that bad, but the offense was just horrible. And like I thought, this was I would go as far to say as this was the Chiefs' worst game in probably 5 years, like especially overall. Offense, like of the Mahomes era, right? Like in the years past, right? The defense has done enough to win games, and it was always the offense that picked them up. The offense could not pick that Chiefs team up at all last night, and it was a huge credit to the Eagles. They just dominated that game. It was a shit pumping.
You know, so much of the conversation was about, are the Chiefs going to three-peat? And I was rooting for that because I don't care who wins that game, and I'll always root for history over anything else. But I left that game going, we'll see. We'll see if Andy Reid and the management of the Chiefs have the same magic touch as the management of the New England Patriots did for so many years. Because I think the Patriots made it feel like teams can just do that when most teams don't. I got to tell you, I left that Super Bowl feeling, Chad, like we're not done with the Chiefs. You still have Patrick Mahomes. But when you look at the Chiefs roster, there's a lot of guys that are kind of getting to the end of that. Like, and I hate to even say it about Travis Kelce, but Travis wasn't even like kind of himself all season. And I leave that game wondering, like, not only do they lose the Super Bowl, but are they going to be able to retool to the point where they're back in Super Bowls again? Again, you still have Patrick Mahomes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being foolish. When you have Patrick Mahomes, you're always going to have a shot. But the rest of that roster is old. It is run down. You even saw it with a guy like Chris Jones. Could hardly walk in that game.
Right.
I don't know, man. I think the Chiefs have a lot of work to do this offseason to get back to that spot. And I also think sometimes from a mental standpoint, you're going for a three-peat and then you get blown out in the Super Bowl. That can really affect the psyche of a team moving forward. I'm very interested to see what happens to the Kansas City Chiefs here.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think Kelsey is contemplating retirement. I mean, Andy Reid's got to be close, right? Andy Reid's got to be close to it. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe as long as Patrick's there, that he'll stay. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to see where the Chiefs go moving forward here. Offensively, I got to think it's good. The majority of it's going to be the same roster, but yeah, I don't know. It really is. I'm sure Patrick is going to go back and get in the lab and get better. I'm sure he's going to get better this offseason, but it's everybody else around him that's really got to help him out. Because that offensive line was pretty bad all year.
So Chad, let's talk about a couple takeaways.
All right.
For Cleveland fans. And let's start with the topic that everybody's talking about. Between the last time we did this show and now, we have watched Myles Garrett go on a media frenzy at Super Bowl week. He did Radio Row. He's done Rich Eisen. He's done, did he do McAfee? I don't remember. He's talked to Schefter.
Feels like
he's gone on the whole thing. So let's give our 2 cents, the updated 2 cents. We don't need to make this a big long thing because, again, I think on the OBR, everybody's going to talk about this. Right. But let's give our 2 cents on the Myles Garrett situation, Chad. As we sit here on February 11th, and we've watched all that go down, and we've listened to Myles Garrett, and we've listened to him do these interviews. Let's talk about where we're at right now on the situation. We know, again, we had Jack Duffin on last week to explain the cap situation and the ramifications for the Cleveland Browns as far as trading Myles Garrett. But are we changing our stances at all? Are we buying into the words that are being said, or are we different than that? Where are you at right now?
I'm different than that. As soon as I get the alert that comes across my phone from Bleacher Report, from whoever reports it first, that Myles Garrett's adjusting his contract and a couple of guys have been cut to start to facilitate a trade. As soon as I get that alert, I'll believe a trade when I see it. Until then, Myles Garrett's going to be a Cleveland Brown, whether they extend him, whether he sits out. This is going to continue to get worse before it gets better. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. He's going to be a Cleveland Brown in some form or another until I get that alert across my phone that he's doing something with his contract to facilitate a trade. That's when it's going to get real for me. Other than that, no, he's a Cleveland Brown until he goes to Canton.
Here's the and Jack Duffin answered this today on the website, but I also want to make sure people are real clear on this. Myles Garrett can't do anything, nor can his agents, nor can the Browns do anything. They can't do anything to help the Browns offset the dead cap that would happen if you trade Myles Garrett. They could completely restructure Myles Garrett's contract. But you guys got to remember what dead cap is. And actually, I think Schefter explained it the best. Dead cap is money they've already paid him, but they've pushed it down the line so as not to affect the salary cap for the current year. Dead cap doesn't go anywhere. You can't restructure dead cap money. You can't work your way out of it. Even if they come through with a restructure, Myles, the most recent interview was, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to facilitate the trade. There is nothing that it will take to make the contract situation better. The dead cap situation is, period. If the Browns trade Myles Garrett, the dead cap goes against the Browns, and you're going to watch them say, we can't sign Nick Chubb. We have to trade Denzel Ward. If that happens, all of the dominoes are going to fall.
Right.
So I want to make sure people understand, you're not going to get that notification, Chad. You're not going to get a notification that they're going to restructure his deal, which is going to eliminate the dead cap. The dead cap is there. That $39 million or whatever it is, 36, whatever it is, that's there no matter what else happens.
Yeah.
And so, again, as Jack said on the show last week, I think Schefter did a really good job. So many national people are not talking about actual cap ramifications for the Browns. And they're just talking about, Myles wants to go, and they got to figure out a way to make it happen.
Well, that's what gets ratings.
Man, that it aggravates me. It should be my asshole of the week, really. It aggravates me because you're not telling people what the real situation is. And the real situation is, if you're a Browns fan and you're going, well, why don't you just get the best haul for Myles Garrett? I've seen so many trade requests out there, right? You sent the one, Chad, and actually I liked the trade. It was like Washington's first this year, Washington's first next year, plus like a third and a fifth, and Daron Payne. In reality, I like that trade.
Yeah.
Daron Payne's a good-ass player. Give me 2 first-round picks. Give me other picks.
Right.
But you also say goodbye to Denzel Ward.
Sure.
See ya.
Sure.
Say goodbye. Nick Chubb is not coming back.
Right.
And probably 1 or 2 other players that you like.
I don't,
Gone.
Yeah. Nick Chubb,
Joel Bitonio. See you, Joel. Enjoy retirement.
I would say this is a conversation for might be a conversation for another day, but yeah, there's a couple of aging players that are fine that I love that I would understand not being on the roster next year anyway.
Well, that's fair.
One of them is Joel Bitonio.
It's fair, but he's still good this last year. Anyway,
I know.
I for me, the point of this conversation is this, and I want, this is my personal view on it. And we could get a damn notification tomorrow that says the Browns have traded Myles Garrett. I don't think it's going to happen, but we could.
It's not going to happen. I'm not going to believe it until I see it. That's really it.
But here's the point of me even bringing up the goddamn situation that's been talked about ad nauseum in every sports show or whatever that's happened. The talk is just going to continue. Myles is just going to keep doing interviews because people keep saying that the Browns don't have leverage. The Browns are the only ones with leverage right now. Myles Garrett's the one that has no leverage. He is under contract for 2 more years. Then they got franchise options after that. The only people with leverage in this situation right now are the Cleveland Browns. That's it. And as this goes on, that leverage is only going to increase. Because, again, Myles Garrett is owed a bonus in March.
Right.
So if they pay that bonus, they're certainly not going to trade him because that's going to be worse against the contract or against the salary cap.
Right.
He can go out and say everything he wants to say. And please understand, it doesn't mean he doesn't like you. It doesn't mean he doesn't like Cleveland.
No one's going to take it.
It doesn't mean he doesn't want to play for the Browns.
No one's going to take it that way, though, Mike.
I understand that. People are too much in their feelings.
Right.
Understand that this is not a feelings business. It's a business.
Right.
Your feelings don't matter right now.
That was the whole crux of my TikTok video I posted.
Yes, there is going to be eventually, in my opinion, there's going to be a resolution to this. And I think I'm with Jack Duffin. I think it results in Myles Garrett signing an extension with the Browns. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to be 3 weeks into next season, and we're going to be done with this conversation, much like Baltimore is done with the Lamar conversation, much like you could go back to Kobe Bryant requesting trades from the Lakers. In the end, we're going to be done with the conversation, but there's no way the Cleveland Browns are going to make this work.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
So Myles can say what he wants to say, but if I were you and I were watching these interviews that Myles Garrett is doing, I would be watching it under that different kind of observation of saying, hey, he's just saying things that his agents are probably telling him to say. Or maybe he even means some of it. But it doesn't mean the Browns are trading Myles Garrett.
Right.
So, with that in mind, Chad, I'm going to tell you my biggest takeaway from the Super Bowl.
Okay.
My biggest takeaway from the Super Bowl is this: the Philadelphia Eagles dominated the Kansas City Chiefs because they lived in the backfield of that game.
I know.
They lived in the Chiefs couldn't run the ball.
Right.
And Patrick Mahomes didn't have time to throw the ball.
Right.
They lived in the backfield. And no, Paramjot. And first of all, shout out to you. I haven't seen you around here a lot, but hopefully you hang out with us more because love how active you are in the comments. Does Myles apologize to Andrew when he signs the extension? No, he doesn't need to. He doesn't. This is not a feelings business. No, there's no apology necessary. Sign the contract and let's go play football. It makes me view the Browns draft maybe not differently, kind of the same as I already did. You're probably going to have a crack at this dude named Abdul Carter at the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take that. Go ahead. Let's get the Myles Garrett situation resolved. And let's put Abdul Carter on the other side of Myles Garrett, and let's do exactly what Philly did to all the other teams in the NFL for the rest of for the next 5 years. Let's just do that.
To play a little devil's advocate here, and I totally agree. I love Abdul Carter, and I love everything about him, and I want him in orange and brown. Is he going to be Micah Parsons, or is he going to be Courtney Brown?
Well, Courtney Brown, I think, was good. Courtney Brown couldn't stay healthy. Courtney Brown, everybody forgets this about Courtney Brown. And I know we're 25 years later. But when Courtney was healthy, Courtney was a beast.
He was a beast. He was.
When he was healthy, even with the Browns.
He was.
Everybody wants to act like Courtney did nothing with the Browns. When Courtney Brown was healthy with the Browns, he was really good.
Yeah, I just wanted to get you worked up. Yeah, give me Abdul Carter all day.
You're such a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, give me Abdul Carter all day. Please give me Abdul Carter.
I'm going to also go out on one last limb, and then we'll get off the Browns, Chad. We're talking about the draft. You're going to have the second pick. We don't know what Tennessee's going to do. There's actually rumors that Tennessee's enamored with Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
There's rumors
that they want to trade down for more assets.
That they want to trade down. Obviously, Cam Ward is, I think, sitting there at that number 1 spot. I'm going to say this. My mock draft for the OBR comes out. It hits the website tomorrow. If the Browns did go quarterback at number 2, and if the quarterback the Browns took at number 2 was Shedeur Sanders, I prefer that over Cam Ward.
Okay.
I like Shedeur Sanders, and I really like Shedeur Sanders in a Kevin Stefanski offense.
Okay.
I think that's the thing that people aren't talking about. We're talking about, historically, the most accurate thrower in the history of college football is Shedeur Sanders. Nobody is more accurate in the history of college football than Shedeur Sanders. He does not turn the ball over, but he also makes a lot of big plays. When you're looking at reasons you might not want him, he holds onto the ball forever. That's a problem, and it probably will be a problem the first year or two that he's in the NFL. He's going to take a lot of sacks, and that part is going to suck. But in the offense that you're asking a guy to play, give me the guy with the lightning quick release and the pinpoint accuracy and good arm strength. Everybody acts like he's got a noodle arm. He does not have a noodle arm. He's got good arm strength, pinpoint accuracy, and a lightning quick release. People are falling in love with Cam Ward because of his legs. He's got a great arm. Listen, Cam Ward's got a great arm. He's a great thrower of the football. He deserves to be up there in this conversation. But people are falling in love with some of the measurables. And I'm sitting here going, if they do decide to go quarterback, I think I would probably take Shedeur over Cam Ward.
Okay. Does the competition he faced have anything to do with that?
Shedeur?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, did he play? I don't, because that's the thing I question, right? Like, I've never trusted Big 12 quarterbacks to begin with. And I
know
just,
Patrick Mahomes fucking sucks.
Oh, well,
Baker
okay.
Mayfield fucking sucks.
Well, listen.
Hey, listen, I'm going to give him his props. We don't need to go into a Baker. I'm going to give him his props.
Sure.
I've said it forever. I'm glad he's not here anymore, and I'm going to give him his props.
Well, sure. Yeah. Obviously, what he became, what he's become is amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I have a thing with Big 12 quarterbacks. I just, even Patrick coming out of college, right? But obviously, it's a draft, and you never know. So, and obviously, if the Browns take Shedeur, I'm going to roll with him because he's going to be the quarterback of my favorite football team. So I'm going to take a chance on him. And yes, I do love that he's the most accurate passer in college football history. I know
we get
his
this
arm
comment.
strength
We get
is
this
there.
comment. We got a comment from Doesn't Matter. Shedeur has near zero escapability. 100%.
Sure.
I don't know that I don't. Tom Brady had near zero escapability.
Sure.
I'm not worried about escapability, and that's not why. That's not.
Here.
We fall in love with all these other metrics with quarterbacks.
Here.
I love Cam. I love that Cam Ward he can roll out and he can make plays on the run, and give me the guy that's going to drop back in a system and make the right throw at the right time.
Yes. Let me
And
counter
I'm going
that.
to tell you what, Shedeur is that guy.
Let me counter that as well. Does it matter? You know, Tom Brady's superpower, and I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is
Don't get us wrong. Yeah, we're not comparing the two.
We're not comparing the two. But Tom Brady's superpower, right? What was it? It wasn't his athletic ability, right? He had a great arm. It was definitely not his athletic ability. But Tom Brady's superpower was that he diagnosed defenses and he knew exactly what the defense was going to do before they even knew what they were going to do.
Yes.
Right? He was not going to snap the ball before he knew that his guys were going to be open or that play was going to be open. Shedeur Sanders has been coached by his dad for the last 3 years. Shedeur Sanders has been taught how to read defenses for the last 3 years. You know, Shedeur Sanders knows how to study film. He knows how to read defenses. He knows how to make the correct throw. So escapability, maybe not. But is he going to make the right read? The majority of the time, absolutely.
Man, and let's look at more current. It doesn't have to be Tom Brady. Let's look at a guy that won a lot of games in the NFL this last year. Is Sam Darnold? Does he have incredible escapability? No. He's a pocket passer.
I mean,
I
don't know if that's the best example.
Go back over the years.
Sure.
Drew Brees, did he have incredible escape? No.
That's a better example.
No.
That's a much
Phillip
better
Rivers,
example.
was he incredibly escaped? No.
Sure.
Listen, give me the guy that knows where the football needs to go when the football needs to get there.
Right.
And Shedeur isn't 100% that guy. Shedeur gets caught up in trying to make the big play sometimes, and he takes a lot of sacks.
Right.
But, man, I'm just telling you, I would love Abdul Carter. He's my number one choice at that number 2 pick, if they keep that pick. I would also love for them to trade down to like 6 with the Raiders, or I don't know. I don't know who else might be willing to jump up. I would love the trade down. I'm good with that. Give me Tet out of Arizona at wide receiver, and let's roll with that. I'm cool with that.
Right.
But if they go quarterback and it's Shedeur Sanders, I'm going to be thrilled. I'm going to be fine with that. I'm going to be very happy with that.
Yep, same here.
So that was just my little piece. We're doing a lot of mock drafts. Again, mine's going to hit the OBR tomorrow. And let me just tell you, this Shedeur Sanders is going to be that top pick, and we'll see what they do after that. But again, going back to the Super Bowl, should they take Abdul Carter and should they keep Myles Garrett? And then maybe they figure out a second-round quarterback, which, again, I don't even know that I'm proposing. We've done a couple of these mock drafts, and people are screaming that you have to take a quarterback. And I'm like, everybody's like, what about Will Howard? I'm like, what about Jackson Dart? Jackson Dart's going to be
he's going to be the
I think
hot
he's the
name.
bane of my existence at this point. And I've taken him in these mock drafts. But people are starting to act like he's like, oh, well, he's going to be great. Jackson,
if you don't
like Shedeur Sanders, you definitely don't like Jackson Dart. I'm either I'm at the point now, Chad, on the quarterback side. I'm okay with them taking 1 at 2. And I'm also okay with them not drafting a quarterback this year.
Right.
Because there's a lot of quarterbacks that I think, I don't want that guy. I do not. Dylan Gabriel, really? I'd rather go find a way to get Derek Carr on the team. Go find a way to get Kirk Cousins. Go find a way to get, I know people hate this, but Daniel Jones.
Well, they're going to find a way to get one of those guys. Because
you're going to have to. I don't know. I wanted to go on a little Shedeur rant because I think there's a lot of hate going on. And I think a part of it is because he's been the guy for the last 2 years that everybody's assumed was going to be like the number one quarterback. And so I think he is nitpicked more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, people are talking about Cam Ward like he doesn't have flaws in his game. And I'm like, did you watch Cam Ward? He's got plenty of flaws.
Well, that's because Shador has the most flash to him. That's why people are pointing.
Well, and Dion is he's himself.
Right.
So Eagles win the Super Bowl. Browns have some things they can learn. And again, if they can figure out Miles and they can figure out Abdul Carter, maybe they can do what the Eagles did to the Chiefs. But we'll see what happens. And we're going to be covering all that on the OBR all offseason long. Chad, a couple other quick notes here before we get out of here.
Okay.
Dude, Chad, we are we're under 3 weeks away, or we're about 3 weeks away from the Stadium Series game in Columbus.
I know.
There's still tickets available to this thing. I'm going to tell you this. I've been to a lot of NHL outdoor games.
Yeah.
I've been to games in Pittsburgh. I've been to games in Buffalo. I've been to games in Chicago. I've been to games in Philly. Even if you're not a big hockey person, but if you're like, I would love to experience one of the coolest events that I could experience, get your ass over to the NHL's website. Go to the Blue Jackets website.
Yeah.
And buy yourself a couple of tickets to go watch NHL hockey
March
1st. That is happening at the Horseshoe on Ohio State's campus. The Columbus Blue Jackets, which, again, the darling team of the NHL so far this year.
Right.
Against the Detroit Red Wings, another team that's playing way better than anybody thought they would play all year. That is going to be, Chad, it's going to be a spectacle, man. In the Horseshoe, it's going to be a spectacle.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they're going to put on a show. Between Ohio State, the Blue Jackets, the NHL, it's going to be an entire show. You got 21 pilots performing. You got OAR as the pregame concert. It's going to be an absolute circus show, and I mean that in the best way possible. So yeah, get your asses down there. Get some tickets. Sit up high. Right, because I found out the hard way. If you sit close in an outdoor game, you can't see shit as far as the game goes. Sit up a little higher and enjoy everything that is an outdoor hockey game, because it is a sight to behold.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's a lot of reasons to be very excited about this game. Obviously, like, it doesn't matter. OAR did drop some bangers. Back in the day. It's going to be a crazy game of poker.
Oh my God.
The Columbus Blue Jackets coming out of this Four Nations tournament. Jesus Christ. Sweden, Finland, Canada, the U.S. tournament style. It's going to be a lot of fun, by the way.
Best on best, man. It's going to be amazing.
You got to watch it. It's like a mini Olympics happening.
Right.
It's awesome. But the Blue Jackets are expecting to come out of that Four Nations tournament healthier.
Everybody except for Good Branson is probably going to be back.
Well, almost everybody.
For the most part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who am I? You're saying Good Branson. Who are you expecting back?
Boone Jenner's basically.
Obviously, Boone Jenner. Boone Jenner
is basically going to be back. Marchenko might not be back, but the earliest projection for him, if he hits that early projection, is going to be basically after this tournament ends.
Well, I don't think they're not talking about Monahan back right after the
Monahan's probably going to be, at least maybe a week or two away right after that. So they're going to get guys back. They're going to come out of this back healthy, not like right after, not like the day after the tournament ends. But they're going to get guys back very, very soon as they're out.
Yeah, we're looking at this playoff push with the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
And the name I can't stop thinking about is Monahan. I mean, like Boone Jenner, it's going to come back. It's going to be great. But there's going to be a little rust to that game.
Well, sure.
As he adjusts to NHL speed.
Sure.
But man, Monahan was such a pivotal part.
Yes.
And that, having him out for almost 2 months, basically, is a lot. So hopefully he is ready soon. But if you're not, again, I know we talk a lot of football here. I know we talk basketball tonight. But if you're not watching hockey, watch the Four Nations tournament. It's going to be awesome. And then jump into the Blue Jackets because it's going to be a great ending to the season. And it's going to get kicked off with this outdoor game at the Horseshoe, Columbus and Detroit. And again, there's tickets available. And if you have never been to a hockey game, I think Nationwide Arena down in Columbus is one of the best places you can go. But maybe a great place to start would be the Horseshoe and a hockey game there. It's going to be wild.
Right.
So go check that out. Chad, last order of business tonight before we do our cheers of the week. Pitchers and catchers.
Let's go.
We are like
First
we're
spring training game is in 11 days.
We're less than 2 months from baseball. We're less than 2 months from regular season baseball.
I know. Crazy, right? Even though it shouldn't be, but we are.
Are we letting ourselves the Cleveland Guardians, man? I want to know your thoughts on this, and then we'll get out of here because we'll break it down more, and we'll have some guests that come on to talk about it.
We'll do our MLB preview in about
and we'll get guests to come on. But
right
the Guardians have slashed payroll.
Right around game 55 is when we'll have our MLB preview.
Yeah, right. I know. No, we'll get people before.
Yeah.
The Guardians have slashed almost $40 million from one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. The Guardians had recent record attendance last year.
Yeah.
They made a ton of money and they slashed payroll by nearly $40 million. You watch guys like Josh Naylor walk. You watch Carlos Santana come back. So it's probably more of a wash than anybody wants to say.
Yeah. If you look at the numbers, it's definitely more of a wash.
Andres Jimenez no longer plays for the Guardians.
Yeah.
So that is a thing. Not only do they slash payroll $40 million, but they then go to this nasty arbitration hearing with Stephen Kwan. So they won't even extend Stephen Kwan. I'm giving you the reasons to not be optimistic, but let's talk about reasons to be optimistic. When you look at the Guardians and the lineup they're going to trot out there, it's still going to be Stephen Kwan. And then you look around the horn and you go, okay, you got Jose, you got Carlos Santana. I don't know that they're going to have a choice but to have Chase DeLauder in the lineup to start things off.
Yeah.
Kyle Manzardo showed a lot of promise. John Kenzie Noel showed a lot of promise. There's a lot of guys that have showed a lot of promise on the Guardians team. I think there's still reason to be excited.
Sure.
And I hate the way they operate. Sure. Moneyball doesn't win championships. It never has, and it never will.
Right.
Moneyball doesn't win.
Right.
But I think this team's going to be just as good as it was last year. There's no reason to think it won't.
Yeah, I mean, they're picked to finish third in the Central.
That's where they were last year.
Sure. Are they going to be just as good? Sure. But the Tigers have definitely improved. I mean, the Royals were on their way. Have been on their way as well. So I think it's a much tougher division this year. So I think things do have to align right for the Guardians. They do have to be able to rely, as usual, every year. They've got to rely on the development of the young guys. So yeah, I think it'll still be exciting to watch. Will it happen again? Will they win the division again this year? I don't know. That's up in the air. But I still think that this team is going to be right there as well because these are good players. These are good young players. So yeah, it's another exciting baseball season is coming, but it's just, again, it's the revolving door of uncertainty. Who knows?
It's going to be interesting. Obviously, you're going to have to wait a little time before Shane Bieber's back.
Yeah.
But if you can get him back, that's cool. I think getting the Ortiz from Pittsburgh is a big hit.
Huge
for that rotation. Huge hit for that rotation. It's going to depend, man. It's going to depend on who you can fill in at second base. Is it going to be Brito? He's the guy that everybody's talking about. Is it going to be Gabe Arias? I don't know if he's Gabriel Arias he's the guy that will not produce at the major league level, and then he goes down to AAA and hits like home runs every time he's up.
Right.
Is Brian Rocchio ready to go? Is he ready to be the full-time starting shortstop? Because, man, he showed it in the playoffs last year. He was the most valuable player of the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
was Brian Rocchio.
Yeah.
You're going to have Lane Thomas out there. I forgot about Lane Thomas.
Yeah.
Can you get catchers that do anything? Can your pitching staff come through? It's going to really, like, the question marks are there. It's very depressing to root for a team that comes off an ALCS. They were ahead of schedule, and they go to the ALCS and they slash payroll by $40 million. That's depressing. It's depressing.
It sucks.
But it'll be less depressing if Kyle Manzardo turns into what he could be. It'll be less depressing if Jhonkensy Noel and Chase DeLauder find their way into that lineup and they're like, oh, we're power hitters in this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, and they have the power to be that 30 home run, 80 to 90 RBI guys. It's just a matter is if they can. That's why you could. Goddamn, you could just. Why can't they just let us be excited going into a season? There's just all it is hope, right? It's hope. That's why it's just a revolving door of uncertainty. Why can't they just keep their guys? And it's just it's like, why can't they just quell any uncertainty going into a season? It sucks. That's why you got to just enjoy the ride when it comes to the Guardians. If they're having a good season, enjoy the ride because it's not going to look the same. It's never going to look the same, and it's not going to look the same this year.
You've still got Clase at the back end of the bullpen, along with Hunter Gaddis and Cade Smith. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for optimism. The problem is where they should have gone.
Can Clase wait to become unhittable until later in the season now? And
where they should have gone is it should have been, hey, we were just a couple of games away from the World Series last year. So we should build upon this roster. Instead, it's, well, we've got some young guys that we think could be really good. And in the meantime, baseball is going to just let the Dodgers win again, or the Yankees, or it's going to be another top-end payroll team.
How does your heart not go out to like Antonetti and Chernoff?
Well, of course it does.
Oh no, I'm just saying in general. Like, how does it not like? Because these guys have just. I talk about it all the time. They just have to consistently pull rabbits out of their hat, and they do.
Yeah,
like
they do. I don't mean to be depressing. I'm excited for baseball season to start. Man, coming off an ALCS and then slashing $40 million of payroll is a really tough.
Yeah, it's bad.
Spot to be. Bad. And it's appropriate because we recently had in our Slack channel, somebody posted something about Moneyball, and it's my very favorite conversation because people act like Moneyball was a good thing.
It's a bane of your existence.
No team that has ever done the Moneyball thing has ever won anything.
Yeah.
Maybe they've made it to the playoffs. Maybe they've made it to the ALCS or the NLCS. Moneyball doesn't work.
Yeah.
Moneyball, this, and doesn't matter right here. This is it. This is baseball life in Cleveland. And I want to be excited. And I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be at opening day. We go every year. It's a tradition. I will be there and I will be cheering my ass off. But do we have to wait another 7 to 10 years to try to catch lightning in a bottle again to sniff the World Series? That's baseball in Cleveland.
Right. You might have to.
That's baseball in Cleveland. Yeah, but we get close every 7 to 10 years.
Right.
All right. Cool. Great. Other teams are going for it every year. And it just kills me when you're 2 or 3 games away from the World Series. And it's not, that doesn't prompt you to be like, okay, let's strengthen this thing and go for it. What are we doing?
Right.
Anyways, I don't want to be depressing. Pitchers and catchers this week. Spring training coming up soon. And we'll see. Maybe these guys that we've been talking about. Yeah. Can we get Jimmy Haslam to buy the Guardians? He actually would be great there. Can Kyle Manzardo come up big? Can Jhonkensy Noel become consistent? Can Chase DeLauder find his way in? Can Lane Thomas? If they can do that, we're going to have a fun year again in Cleveland. But You just never know going in. That's that, Chad. I think that's to your point. That's the problem. You just never know going in.
Yeah, yeah. Like Jimmy Haslam's first signing as Cleveland Guardians owner is probably a bad joke, but
Trevor Bauer.
Wander Franco has signed.
Oh no, I was gonna say Trevor Bauer, but okay. All right, dude, let's get out of here. It is beyond our time, but let's finish up with our cheers of the week, where we shout out somebody, a group of people, whatever, who deserve to be shouted out. And I'll kick us off. My cheer of the week, and this is very timely, but it's a guest of ours. It's a friend of ours on the show. It's somebody we have had on multiple times, but what a cool night it was last night. And it's actually a former OBR writer. I'm shouting out our buddy Hayden Grove. That was really freaking cool last night.
Yeah, very cool.
If you are not aware, Hayden Grove, writer for Cleveland.com, former writer for the OBR, really good dude, Cleveland sports writer, also pursuing this music career, went on to The Voice yesterday and signed on to Team Adam Levine's team on The Voice. And that's cool as hell, man. That kid, he's a good dude. He is as friendly as it gets. I've seen him out and about a few times. We've obviously had him on the show a few times. And man, I couldn't be happier for that guy. He has been working on that music thing for a long time. He's been singing at local bars and restaurants. He's been singing out at Crocker Park, really just trying to get his name out there. And he went out there yesterday on The Voice and got himself a coach. And I thought it was really cool. So my shout out is to Hayden Grove. What a night.
Honorary asshole of the week. What the fuck, Bubbly? Why did you turn? What the fuck?
Yeah, well, we got to talk about Michael. He's like, yeah, but the vibrato. Shut the fuck up, Buble.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing?
My cheers of the week goes to my daughter, Hazel. First off, for two reasons. Good on her. Her hustle and hard work paid off. Her team won the championship.
Let's go.
Third grade basketball league this year.
Let's go.
They waited until the playoffs to play their best games of the season, made it all the way to the championship. They beat the undefeated number 1 seed in the second round of the playoffs to advance to the championship. And
Let's go.
What'd they do? They held on, right? The other team had the ball underneath the hoop for like 5 shots with 15 seconds left. They missed them all, and they won the championship.
Let's go.
And then another reason to cheers her. You ready for this one? You sitting down?
I am.
She made the All-Star team. The All-Star
Hell yeah,
team.
she did.
She's made the All-Star team. All right. February 23rd, Mentor High School, 2nd and 3rd grade All-Star game going on. Hazel's going to be a part of it. Let's go, Hayes. Let's
Garage
go.
Beers Hayes. What up? That was awesome. All right. Shout out to Hazel. Let's give another shout out to everybody that joined us tonight. That's going to do it for episode 250. We're a quarter of the way to 1,000. And frankly, we are less than 2 months away from our 5-year anniversary. And we're going to try to plan something really cool for that because, yeah, it's just really cool. It's really cool that you guys have tagged on and hung out with us. It's really cool. Those of you that have joined us in the comments, or maybe you're just listening to us on Apple or Spotify or whatever. But we're very much a group of guys that you guys did not know about. And we didn't come in with big followings. And we came in with broadcasting backgrounds and thought, hey, let's do a show. And 5 years later, it's a passion project for us. And we love this. And we love that you tag on with us. So last thing we're going to do in our last cheers of the week, our thank yous of the week, one to the OBR. Man, years ago, now we've been with the OBR for several years. And they came to us and said, we don't care that you're not a Browns podcast. We want to just have you on just to like kind of expand and expand the horizons and let our people talk about other things that aren't just the Browns. Big time shout out to the OBR on episode 250 for just being our host and hanging out and having us on every Tuesday night. If you're not over at theobr.com, make sure you get over there and subscribe. Or If you're watching us on the OBR's YouTube or Twitch, make sure you subscribe, hit like, all that stuff. But shout out to the OBR. Shout out to our special guest tonight. And frankly, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Those guys have all been friends of the Garage Beers podcast for a long, long time, including the fact that Jake Crawford was maybe our second or third ever guest on this show. And we have had really great conversations with all of those guys over there. But Mikey McNuggets, Mike Lucas joined us tonight to talk Cavs. Big shout out to him for joining us always. Mike is one of the best young dudes in this town talking sports, and he's only going to grow from here. So big time shout out to Mike Lucas for joining us. Mikey McNuggets, great time talking Cavs. And our last shout out, again, I already gave it to you before, but I'm going to give it to you again. All of you guys, 250 episodes in. And sometimes we grow and sometimes we talk about things that people don't care about. And but you guys just hang out with us every week. You have beers with us. You talk sports with us. You come. The whole point of this show is that you're hanging out in the neighborhood garage, just talking sports with your friends. And I hope you guys feel that, because we do with you guys, whether you joined us live, whether you're joining us on the podcast version or on YouTube or Twitch later, or whether you're just hanging out with us on the socials. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. As Gregory H. says, landmark episode. And this is the landmark episode. We are halfway between 200 and 300. You know, we do the big episodes on the hundreds, but we're 5 years into this thing almost, and we got just nothing but big plans from here. So shout out to all of you guys. We couldn't do it without you. We love you guys. That's going to do it for episode 250. Joey wasn't here. He's in LA, but he'll be back next week. He texted me tonight. He'll be back next week. So for Joey Whalen at Garage Beers Joe, for Chad Meyer at Garage Beers Chad, I am Michael Keefe at Garage Beers Mike. Go follow the socials at the Garage Beers everywhere. We'll be back next week for episode 251. Until then, cheers, everybody.